Maybe there's more to life than just isolating ourselves and protecting ourselves from people that we think are dangerous or scary or different.
I'm Corbyn Tyson. This is my wife, Sarah. We've got 3 kids. This is Max, Owen, and Audrey, who thinks she's Princess Elsa. I'm on a journey to find out what it means to be a good dad. Recently, I spent some time with the Martin family. Cory had a thriving political career and decided it wasn't the life for him and his family. He quit his job and became a chaplain at a county jail. As a dad, he's showing his kids what it means to live beyond yourself and how helping others is way more important than money and success.
Our life, up until a few years ago, probably didn't look any different than anybody else's life. You get married and you live in the same house your entire life, and you work at the same job your entire life, and you have kids shortly after you get married, and you have 3 or 4 of them. That's just the way that I was raised, and I think it's maybe what I felt comfortable with and what I was used to. None of that ended up happening.
I think maybe most couples do this, but I would wish that my kids would look just like Cory. I still think he's so handsome.
I think we waited a few years before we decided that we were ready to have a family. We just never got pregnant. And the doctor couldn't really explain why. We both tested okay.
You kind of know that it happens to people, but you don't assume that it will happen to you.
We started thinking, well, if this isn't working, maybe we should think about adoption. Calvin and Silas were adopted from South Korea. Ruby was born here in Indiana.
We want to really teach them that it's not a part of their story that they should feel ashamed of.
I don't sit around and think of my family as different. It's just our family. It's all we've ever known. We were living in a really nice town. And that's when we started thinking maybe there's more to life than just isolating ourselves and protecting ourselves from people that we think are dangerous or scary or different.
Shannan and Cory put those thoughts into action. They closed up shop on their beautiful farmhouse and downsized. They moved into the city and changed jobs. I think it's really easy to talk about doing something crazy. It's really hard to put that into action.
You move into a neighborhood that's unfamiliar and different than the neighborhood you were living in before, and your neighbors are different, and you look back and you think, well, it's kind of silly to worry about all that stuff. The kids took it better probably than anybody else. The first day they came home from school, they had all made best friends. We're so worried about protecting our kids because we think they're so fragile. They can handle quite a bit. And I think they're going to be much more well-rounded people because of the people they go to school with and who their neighbors are. And they're going to grow up knowing that people really aren't that different. They might look different. They may have grown up in different circumstances. But at the core, they're no different than us.
On one of Cory's first days on his new job, he met a 16-year-old boy named Robert. Immediately they hit it off, and immediately they accepted Robert into their home. They frequently had him over for dinner and became very involved in his life. And a lot of their friends and family were baffled by their generosity. Why would you let a complete stranger with a record into your home? Robert became more and more part of their family, and then one day he disappeared. He vanished with no trace. Fearing for his life, they didn't hear from him for 6 months.
And then out of the blue one day, he reappeared as if nothing had happened. We were just glad that he was back and he was still alive. And then 2 things happened pretty quickly shortly after that. He had twin boys that were born, and a month after that, we got a call from the Elkhart County Jail, and he had been arrested. You know, we'd go to visit Robert twice a week, and then when he was transferred to the Indiana State Penitentiary, we'd visit him every other weekend. After visiting him for a year in jail, I remember he called us one day on the phone and just would start calling us mom and dad. We just started referring to him as our older son. It was easy for us to call him our son because it didn't cost us anything. There was no sacrifice or really commitment involved. But then when he got out on home detention, there's not a book that's written on how to bring a 19-year-old convicted felon into your home as part of your family once they're released from prison. And so our philosophy with not just, Robert moving in, but with anything is, if you wait until you think you have it all figured out, you'll probably not do anything. But it's been a wonderful experience. It's been frustrating and challenging and inconvenient sometimes. The kids just view him as their older brother.
In the beginning, we saw our job as a parent to keep our kids safe. I think we just started to realize that the world needs our kids. I think dads can teach their kids to be brave and to go make an impact on the world around them.
I think not only do you encourage your kids to take risks, but I think your kids need to see you taking risks. And in my opinion, taking risks on other people, I think is what has really impacted our kids. They're gonna grow up thinking this is normal because what we're doing, we don't really view as crazy anymore. It's just a part of our life. It's like anything in life, the more risk you take, the more reward there is.
I make corporate videos for a living. I'm pretty sure my kids won't remember me for how I helped a wire company increase their sales. I think it's important for my kids to learn how to work hard, but more importantly, I really want them to understand that when they live a life focused on helping others, that they're gonna find fulfillment, and they're gonna find much more happiness than a McMansion in the suburbs. My mortgage and my flat screen are reasons I don't take risks. The normal life that Cory talked about is what prevents a lot of us from taking risks and doing something that we've always wanted to do. I tend to spend a lot of time wrapping my kids in bubble wrap. I try to shelter them from risk and the scary world around us. But what's more important? Is it having a thriving business or teaching my kids how to be selfless? What's more important to you? And what will your kids remember about you? And let me ask you this, what's preventing you from doing something that you've always wanted to do?
SoulPancake, subscribe!